to life.
Last but not least, from the backbenches, Carla Lockhart.
Thank you, and can I say it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, Sir Charles. And I would like to begin by making the following observation. Over this debate, it has become apparent and very clear that members lobbying to repeal the UK's abortion laws say that they speak for all women and that they are on their side. Well, of course, my remarks, I want to make it very clear that they don't speak for all women, and they certainly don't speak for the unborn. In fact, we hear little or no mention of the unborn, and only for those of us who are champions of both lives in pregnancies, we would hear nothing of the unborn from the lips of those who pursue their pro-choice agenda. I've just started. I will continue. I'll give way throughout the call. So I want to make it very clear that they don't speak for all women, and on focusing on some women who I don't believe they speak for, I'm going to give some examples. And that is one young woman, Mallory Bantala, refused to have an abortion and was violently assaulted by her ex-boyfriend, Kevin Wilson. When she returned home from her baby shower, she suffered life-threatening injuries, and her son was stillborn as a result. Caroline Craft, she had been in a relationship with Matthew Cherry, a former police officer, and they broke up when she refused to have an abortion. When she was 6 months pregnant, Miss Craft opened her front door to find an attacker who turned out to be Mr. Cherry, who punched her repeatedly in her stomach and back in a way that targeted her unborn baby to cause miscarriage. At sentencing, the judge remarked that this was an evil attack, which involved a high degree of planning. Fortunately, Caroline recovered from her injuries and gave birth to a healthy baby boy. A jury convicted Mr. Cherry of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm with intent, and he was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. And finally, Lauren Oliver, when she was 34 weeks pregnant, her ex-partner, Nicholas Leaning, a professional cage fighter, stabbed her 5 times in the stomach in an attempt to kill her unborn child. Again, the details of this case are chilling. Miss Oliver and Mr. Leaning had just broken up when Oliver learned she was pregnant with his child. When she refused to get an abortion, he said he would kick it out of her if he had to, and he did, not wanting anything to do with the baby. An emergency C-section delivered her baby 6 weeks early, who astonishingly was unharmed in the attack. And a jury found Mr. Leaning guilty of wounding Miss Oliver and attempting to destroy the life of a child. He was sentenced to 19 years imprisonment. As these cases demonstrate, the laws we have in place are being used to prosecute often violent men and protect women from serious forms of violence. This new dispensation would take away those protections for Caroline, Lauren and Mallory. They ensure that the Kevin Wilsons, the Matthew Cherrys and the Nicholas Leanings of the world are punished for their despicable crimes. How can members who seek to repeal the UK's abortion laws claim to be on the side of women and yet stand in opposition to these women who have suffered life-threatening injuries at the hands of these violent men? According to the charity Best Beginnings, over a third of domestic violence starts or gets worse when a woman is pregnant. 40 to 60% of women experiencing domestic violence are abused while pregnant. 15% of women report violence during their pregnancy. These are worrying figures. If we contemplate removing legal protections for these women, we would be profoundly letting them down, and when they are at their most vulnerable. We cannot let rhetoric replace the real protections in place for women. Throughout the debate, we've also heard many mention Northern Ireland and the laws that were forced upon the people of Northern Ireland. These laws don't represent the people and the views of Northern Ireland. I will give way.
I thank the Honourable Lady for giving way, and she will understand that in this debate it was very important to choose one's words carefully, and we do think about all women, and we do think about the women in Northern Ireland, as well as the evidence session with the Women and Equalities Committee took evidence of them in the last Parliament. We must choose our words more carefully, because we are responsible, we are legislators, and we need to realise that we all care for all women. That is why we are here.
And certainly I can relate with that. I do care for all women, and I want to see a society that helps women to choose life. I want to see a society that wraps their arms around women who find themselves in a situation where they feel they have no other option. I want to see services improved for women who find themselves in that situation. But if we think of Northern Ireland and the laws that have been forced on the people of Northern Ireland, they are not what people want in Northern Ireland. And the very clear consultation results were 79% of respondents to the consultation on the legislation opposed the introduction of these laws that are some of the most liberal abortion laws in all of Europe. So it is just wrong to say that the people of Northern Ireland support these laws, and it has absolutely undermined the devolution process. The devolution process is there. Health is a devolved issue, and therefore should be left to the people of Northern Ireland. And I do choose my words carefully. I am from Northern Ireland, so I know exactly where people are at, and I know the views and the concerns that have been raised around the abortion laws. And we see continual attempts to interfere in Northern Ireland's abortion laws, and we're going to see it again tomorrow, even in the Executive Formation Bill. I would respectfully say, allow the legislators in Northern Ireland to do what they need to do on this, because it is a devolved issue. And when we are on statistics, it is important to note, again, has been mentioned a couple of times in the debate, the Comres data, where only 1% of people surveyed want the abortion time limit raised to birth. 70% of women would like the current time limit actually reduced. 59% of women would like the abortion time lowered to 16 weeks. So it is wrong to say that the overwhelming view of women in Northern Ireland want this decriminalisation that basically allows for abortion to birth for any reason.
Would the member give way?
I will indeed give way.
Thank the member for giving way, and in doing so, in relation to the decriminalisation of and the abortion, murder, and I term it as murder, has been an issue. We had the Oma bombing, where the lives of the 2 unborn are included in the numbers of those that were killed, and those who were convicted will be charged with the murder of the 2 unborn babies as well.
I thank my honourable friend for his intervention. It was a very powerful point and one well made. Behind every abortion, we've heard in the debate today, is a woman who deserves choice, I think was the words used. I'm maybe paraphrasing, but it was something to that effect. I would say respectfully, behind every abortion there are 2 lives, and there is the life of the woman and the unborn. Unfortunately, the unborn doesn't have a voice. They can't speak. They can't speak up for themselves. They can't articulate the fact that they would choose life, because I know the unborn would choose life, because ultimately life is precious. I would respectfully ask to all of those who are involved in this debate, and even in the debate tomorrow, to respect the unborn. I will continue to be a voice for the voiceless, as many around this chamber today have articulated. And I would say that in every pregnancy, the most basic human right is the right to life. Thank you.
Shadow Minister.
Sir Charles.